Morning, gang. Hello, hello, hello. Same place, same time, same station, same job. It's going to take a while to get through this block, so we'll be here for quite a few days on it, I think. What's this? A new something has popped up in my chat here. NSFW chat filter new. Get started now. Automatically hide words and phrases in chat you don't want to see. They're telling me something here. I don't think we need that right now. Okay. I'm feeling fine, guys. Thanks very much. Sorry about yesterday. It comes to all of us now and then. It came to me a couple of nights ago. We don't need to talk about it. I'm fine. I was a little bit tired, that's all. For those of you who aren't in on the secret of what's going on here, we're carving a key block for a print I'll be publishing under my own name, not part of the Mokuhankan system here. This is a print series that I started back in 2012, no, 2013, I'm not sure exactly. And I got a bit sidetracked when we opened the Asakusa shop in 2014. And it seems like I have a bit of time in the schedule. And that sounds a bit silly, there's no time here, but what I mean is, in my personal schedule each day, the carving now is being handled by the other two carvers here, Kawasaki-san and John-san. So as far as carving goes, I'm not the one who is, got free time for carving. Once the carving's done, it comes time to print. I still don't know what to be able to do, but anyway, we can just get going on this thing after picking up for 5 years. After five years of break. And the block I'm using is a boxwood block. What we're carving here now is not cherry wood, this is boxwood. It's a set of blocks that I had prepared for me back in, 5 or 6 years ago by Matsumura-san here in Tokyo. I asked him to prepare some full-surfaced boxwood blocks for me. Because even back then, of course, we were having trouble getting good, strong, solid key blocks in cherry. It's wonderful wood to carve, it's really hard. Those of you who saw me start this block the other day knew that I broke my knife straight away as I put the knife into it, because I'd sort of forgotten just how hard it was. It's hard, but it's smooth. There's very little difference between the wood, the summer grain and winter grain. So there's no jerkiness. You don't carve bang, 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 bang as you go across the lines, the wood grain lines. It's very even and smooth. It's a bit of a challenge to print because it's so hard. The water doesn't go into the surface and the pigment tends to sit on top of the wood. But for line work, it's wonderful. We couldn't print solid colors with it, but for line work, it's wonderful. Have I had my tonic yet this morning? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Paper reminder. Yes, thank you very much. The paper is out. I did it. I stumbled out of the shower up there this morning, and then right away I remembered. Paper is out. Yes, I'm feeling better. I'm fine. It was a bit of a dip. And there was no way to give more warning. I just woke up that morning meaning yesterday, woke up really late, and I really wasn't in any way to do the stream, so sorry not to be able to give more warning, the day before or something. I can't help it, We're okay, we're fine. One of the things on the plate yesterday, a young lady came and visited a potential staff member. She came for not a formal interview, but just to come and talk with us and see, so we could see her and we could see what she was like. And it didn't work out, unfortunately. Very, very pleasant lady, actually, very pleasant person, quite interesting in her own work, but simply didn't have the language skills. There's no way we can hire people here who can't speak at least some bit of English, at least people that we're talking about for the shop and for the print parties. And we really, really need more people here for the shop work and the print party work coming for the spring coming up. And she was, being looked at in this light, but her English was just not there. But it's too bad because she seemed quite a pleasant person. That was a disappointment. We were all hoping we'd get one more person on the team here, but didn't happen. As I mentioned yesterday, not yesterday, a couple of days ago when we started this, I'm changing the lines here a little bit. The image I'm reproducing here was originally done, it came to me as a very small postcard size print, which was a small size reproduction of a larger full-size OBA print. And as part of their process of reproducing it in small scale, they simplified some of the lines. These ropes around the bucket and something, they just made them in straight, chut, on flat lines. It doesn't have much rope shape. But now that we're expanding it a bit in size, it's possible to make these lines have a bit more actual feeling of being ropes around a bucket. Now the level of detail you carve, of course, changes with the scale of the print, and coming up in scale here means I can add a bit better feel and a bit better detail to some of this stuff. Just instead of a straight line here, it just has a curve like this, a little round curve for each one of these twists of the rope. It'll give it a tiny bit more pleasant feeling. People would notice or not, kind of irrelevant, doesn't matter. Zoom in a bit more, can I? Where am I here? Carving here. Not sure if I pretty much zoomed in max, I don't know. Let's see. Might be as close as we can get for now, I think. Yesterday evening when I was in the room there getting ready for bed, we had an earthquake last night, and it was the strongest I've felt in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Nothing like the big massive one, you know, that killed many people here, but it was one of the strongest ones we've had here in Tokyo for quite a while. The building literally shook back and forth, left, right, left, right. The windows were going baka, 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 baka. All the lamps were jiggling. The ceiling lamps in the room there were jiggling. And it was over in the Chiba, I looked it up on the net, it was over in Chiba Prefecture, not too far from here. So for here it was a Shindo-san, level 3 here in this part of Tokyo. I think at its strongest point out in Chiba it was a 4. It was a little bit of a wake up. The earthquakes all have a different feel. There's a different, there's different kinds of ground waves depending on the way the ground is slipping and the shaking and how far away you are and stuff. So they've all got a different feel. And the big gigantic one a few years ago, the one that killed tens of thousands of people, by the time it got to Tokyo, that was a really long waves. It was like being in a boat on the ocean. It was, here we go up, oh, here we go down, here we go up. So the waves were long and long and long and deep. And by that we knew it was something that was very, very far away. That's not never what it feels like when it's close by. This one last night was a back and forth one, left, right, as the building moved back and forth. They're all different. Their own pace, their own timing. That's that for today. Hang on a sec. See what's happening here. It's for today. Soka. 233 people. I'd better give a quick reply. Excuse me just a second. Excuse me just a sec while I reply to this. I know normally we reply days in advance with party reservations, but because this is for today, she needs a reply from a human being here. 1 second. Thank you for your interest in our print parties. We've got your reservation and we'll be ready for you XXX this afternoon. The shop can be found on this page, link to map. If you need more information, location, please just ask. Spam in there, God. Okay, thanks. Lots of conversation going on here, guys. I'm sorry not to be on top of it all. Questions from people wanting to get try. So the Facebook page is a really useful page. That Acolytes page is full of information, people who have been trying and starting and learning. There's not much I can really add here at this point while I'm working now, but for those who want to try it, the simplest, easiest way is stuff that you've got in your house already, household tools. You don't need big investments. And not a bad place to start is the library section over on my old website, woodblock.com. In there, there's an encyclopedia with a library in it and dozens, literally dozens, of books written by people who have been making woodblock prints. There's tons of information there. Too much, actually. conversation. Ay, 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 ay. As they get smaller towards the bottom of the bucket here, we have to be less concerned about the exact shape of each one. It's just the effect of a bunch of ropes. And the first one here, we got bumped on the top. That's okay. But as we go through here now, don't have to worry too much about this. There's a limit to how much time you can fool around with making something realistic when realism isn't the job at hand here. It's just got to be a balance between being the idea of a bucket and a depiction of a bucket. So for these last three at the bottom, I think I'll cut the first one the same way in loops and then just cut out triangles for the bottom. so much conversation. I'm sorry, I can't catch it all. Whatever, at lunchtime, maybe when I'm having my coffee and stuff at lunch, I'll try and read through this. But I can't see it all now. I'm sorry. Cultural appreciation. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay. It's not just keeping up with it. I'm curious. I'd like to be part of the conversation, but but I can't do both. I can't. I got to work here. So, have I had any issues with chat logs? No. It's very, very helpful. Thank you very much. I wish we'd have talked about that years ago. It's there every day now. It comes in at lunchtime. I have a look through it, and we save it together with the video. Thank you very, very much for doing that. I'm not sure we're talking about Gedai. What's Gedai? I don't know what you're referring to here. Gedai. Is that a word? What are we talking about? I don't know what you mean. Geidai, the university? The Japanese Arts University here. Geidai. Geijutsu Daigaku. Is that what you're talking about? Anyway, I don't know. Over to you. A mean art guy you talked with on one of your videos. Now you're confusing me. There was a guest on the video? I don't know, I'm sorry, I can't, so comments. I don't really remember. A few years ago, was it somebody from Geidai University? I don't remember. But the word you're playing with there, Gedai, makes no sense. If it's, whatever. All right, let's just try and carve something that makes some sense here. They don't line up properly. Just try and carve something that seems sensible here. After I missed the stream yesterday, and my mother was worried, are you okay, are you okay? So I gave her a Skype call yesterday. And, mothers are mothers, so she's all worried, are you okay, because you missed the stream, and I'm trying to tell her, look, I just had a bad semi-flu day, like we all do, it's okay, So. And she mentioned that she'd been getting mails from Twitch, about the Doctor Who stuff. I've been seeing those too. I haven't followed it. I guess there's some kind of Twitch event going on, playing back old Doctor Who episodes or something from BBC. I don't really know the details of it. And she mentioned that she'd clicked on it to see what was going on, and that the stuff seemed so old. But she also mentioned something when we were chatting. She said she watched a little bit of that old Doctor Who episode stuff on Twitch. And she said the comments were interesting to see. The comments, there were so many people commenting on the streams. There were thousands and thousands of people watching these. And so many people commenting on it that the comments just ran by like a river. Nobody could really see what's going on. I think it was a good a demonstration for her of exactly what a perfect setup we have here with this channel. We don't have tens of thousands of viewers, and really wouldn't want tens of thousands of viewers, because there's a total impossibility of having conversation. And what we've got here seems to be just about right. A few dozen people, maybe 100 people or so watching, and a few dozen people commenting. And it puts it all at a human scale. It's manageable, I know a bunch of you people. I don't know all of them, of course, all of you out there. And it's possible to have an actual conversation. Somebody types something, there's another person responds, somebody else responds. And we've got just about the perfect balance here for doing that. I don't know why I should be so lucky as to have this happen. I get why tens of millions of people are not interested in this, that's fine. But just to have exactly the right amount for making conversation possible, it seems a bit of a coincidence, Or maybe it's self-correcting. When the chat goes silent, people are incited to comment a little bit, but if there's too many comments happening, people back off. So maybe there's sort of a governing mechanism here that keeps the chat at a sensible level. I think they look like ropes. We'll see. The proof will come when we do some test printing here, of course. Then there may be lots of places to go and clip and clip. This one here, for example, looks a bit too fat. Can't really tell at this point, but after test printing, we'll be able to see much more clearly. It's fun to get back in the groove like this, it's been a long time. The last line carving I did was really when? The last good line carving was the octopus print, but that would have been back in, that's a couple of years back now when I did the key block for the octopus, I just did a subscription print this year, but that was no special key block. That was just flat color areas mostly. It's been a couple of years since I've done a nice key block like this, On good wood too. The octopus print, the block set now is basically ready, and it's just waiting for me to find some way to schedule a test printing. And scheduling means a couple of things. It means time and place. I don't have a printing bench. And upstairs now is completely jammed. There's 4 printers working upstairs all the time. Ishikawa-san has taken over one bench completely, even though she's only here 4 days a week, 4 days a week. She's colonized the bench completely with her own tools and stuff. The idea upstairs was that we would build 4 workstations and that people would come in and use them on the days they want to, and the workstation would be available on other days for other people to use. But in practice, that's not what's happened. Even though Ishikawa-san's only here 4 days a week, she has totally filled the space with her own gear, her own tools, her own stuff, her own photographs, whatever, it's become her workbench. And it's not easy for somebody else to use it. And that's happened with all 4 of them now. We have Ishikawa-san in one corner, Suga-san in the other corner, again, working 4 days a week. Dei-chan has got one corner, she's here more, 4 or 5 days a week. On the last corner, the one I've been using when you saw me do the owl printing, for example, last year, the final corner of this bench up there, Kawai-san has colonized that space, and he's got tons of junk all over the place. So I really don't have anywhere to work. My printing area back in Ome is still there, but it's covered with dust. I could clean it up, but I can't get out there. I can't commute back and forth and run the shop and do printing out there. So space is part of it, and another part of it is tools. When we opened this Asakusa shop, I took the workshop tools, meaning what used to be my tools, the printing tools, and split them up. We left half of them out in Ome and brought half of them here. And over the years now, these people have been accumulating some of their own tools and using mine. And because so many people were using my tools, they got worn out pretty much. My own perfect barons. There's number 6 and number 13 in our filing system here. They've been worn out. So number 6 has been retired now. My best baron, the one I got back in 1989, the one I used for key blocks, has now been worn out. At present, it's over at Goto-san. We sent it to Goto-san's place for a refurbishment about half a year ago. And waiting for him to send it back. And whether it's going to be usable or not, I don't know. It might just be totally worn out. And brushes, I have none. All the brushes I were using just went into the pool here, and they've been used and spread around and used and spread around. So I don't know what to do. I have no space and no tools. Carving I kept for myself. I've got this bench and I've got my knife box. But I don't know what to do about printing. Now the guy kind of screwed up the perspective on this piece of wood here. I don't really know what he tried to draw. It doesn't make sense. There's a handle that comes through this and a pin to hold it in place. But he screwed up the perspective. I think at this point all I can do is just copy what he did. There's no You can't really redraw it here. Oops, recipe for breakage there. But I have got to get that work done, the test printing on the Octopus, you know. If I do that, then we can send it to Yamamoto San for printing and we'll get it up in the market. It's silly, you know. I should have done that months ago. Conversations. All I'm hearing is excuses, Dave. I'm sorry, I don't have a clue. Too many conversations going on here. I'm sorry. Do you see the tip of the knife there? We lost the tiny tip of the knife there. It wasn't a major break like we had the other day, but there's a bit of metal here. A little triangle of metal. We've lost the actual tip of the knife. I'm going to leave it for a minute because it's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to be cutting straight lines here for the next couple of minutes, so I don't need the actual tip. This triangle is gone, but look at this. We can still use the knife. In fact, it even helps actually. It helps stay straight. To carve these straight lines. So we'll be sharpening it in a minute, but you can actually, on work like this, keep going. And it's a bit rejuvenating actually for the knife. It sounds a bit silly, but with the tip gone, the next part down is actually sharper, because the part that's broken off is the part that was starting to get a bit dull. So we can continue here for a couple of minutes, carving on the next part of the blade. What I can't do is start going around corners and stuff because we've lost the thinness there. So. It's actually extremely sharp right now. Loving this boxwood, you know. I wish boxwood trees were larger so that I could use boxwood exclusively for all of our key blocks. You just can't get them wide enough, you know. For a block like this, what's the distance? It's about, how big is this? That's the width of this thing. So we can get boxwood that width, you know, boxwood trees are just, that's about the max you're looking at now. There's no way we can use them for Ukiyo-e Heroes prints or stuff like that. And you can't laminate them because as time goes by, the two different pieces, the left and the right, when you've lined them up, they expand and contract at different levels. And you get a joint in your lines, a joint in your prints. So it's got to be one piece or nothing. You know. But for these smaller size prints, no question about it, it's the only way to go. Sure what's going to keep me on the time schedule today. Today's Saturday, so Cameron won't be here today. It's a weekend. He's off for the weekend, of course. And there's 3 staff today. It'll be Kawai-san, he'll be first. Kawai-san, Mori-san, and Kitamura-san is here today. Don't see her very often. She's only here about 1 day a month. Some of these people, I know, Mori-san, Nakamura-san, Kitamura-san, they have real jobs. And we just get 1 or 2 days now and then out of them. Okay, trying to catch a couple of questions here. Let's see. Can you be a printer with minor color blindness? Yes, it's possible. One of our printers is slightly colorblind. And it does work in that there's certain work we know we don't give her. There's certain print jobs she can do. And we have to be really careful. When she does her master trial proof for each job, one of us has to check what's going on, because sometimes she gets it completely wrong, puts a blue in instead of a red or something like this. But once her test printing is done and she knows, that's what it's supposed to be, we know she's not seeing the same color that we're seeing, but as long as she makes it consistent through the run, it's okay. It comes out the same. So with color blindness, it is possible, even in our job, to do it. Or, for example, a carving job I'm doing now, it's totally irrelevant. You can be totally colorblind and do this job completely perfectly well. Doesn't matter at all. So yeah, there'll be stuff you can't do with color blindness, but there's a way to get around most of it. Why is my business model mostly subscription based? Why not sell some single copies also? Our business model isn't mostly subscription based. That's what you've seen recently, because we're just starting a new subscription series this month. Subscriptions are about 1/3 of our business. So it's one type of business we do. We also sell many single prints. mokohankan.com. Go and look there. Lots of single prints. Subscriptions are one thing that we do. And the underlying financial reason for me is to make the income as stable as possible. This is when I first started selling prints back in 1989. I did it only by subscription. At that time, I had no single prints for sale whatsoever. And it was the only way for me to split the two functions. Making prints, which was difficult, time consuming, and doesn't involve selling, taking time, and then doing the selling. So I did the selling at an exhibition once a year, accepted subscriptions, then went back to the workshop, kept quiet, got to work, and just made prints for a year to try and avoid everyday selling, buying, making, selling, buying, making, which was impossible. So the original impetus for me to do it as subscriptions was simply because I couldn't do both jobs at the same time. And now that we've got a much more established business, the reason we have some subscriptions available is that it gives us a much more stable income, and I know I'm going to be able to make payroll on the 5th of every month when it comes around. I know some of the people would like to pick up just that print or just this print from one or two of the sets. I'm sorry, we can't help everybody all the time. But we do have many single prints also available. Subscriptions saved my life. It kept me working, and it fed my kids, bought my house, put one of my kids through college. It kept us going for 25 years, and it's still working to help stabilize this business. I used to get real flack for it back when it was the only thing I did. I only had subscriptions. There were no single print sales. And there were people at some of the exhibitions who were like, what are you, I came here and I look at these prints and now you won't sell me one? And I just had to explain, I have to pay my mortgage, blah, 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 blah. No mortgage anymore, that's all behind me, but whatever. All right, let's finish off this last section. Yeah, we're gonna have to sharpen now because with that little bit of tip missing, there's no way I can get into some of these smaller spaces. So time to zoom out and get the stone ready. There's going to be a large sharpener here. We haven't massively broken the tip. The tip's got, just a tiny bit missing from the tip of it. So we need a very small touch up to the 400 stone. I'll leave my close. And not so much power. I know when I sharpened the other day, we were really broken by like 2 millimeters. So I ground this thing. You could probably hear I was crunching it to try and remove metal. We don't want to remove a whole bunch of metal this time. We're just going to go back a tiny bit. So there's going to be moderate pressure. We're not going to grind away here. Take it easy. If I press too hard here, it'll make scratches in here that are deeper than you might be able to take away. Long strokes. I used to go like this, tick, 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 tick. I think we're there. We've got the blade back. We've come back far enough now. That's all we needed on this one. And the key point about what we just did, the absolute key point, was the angle, holding the angle. I put it down, I played with it for a minute to try and feel where I was. And the key point was, as I moved back and forth, keeping it absolutely flat. You can buy machines, you can get a little roller thing that rolls back and forth and back and forth. That's cool. I avoided learning with one of those because I really wanted to develop my own skill at keeping it flat. And I'm reasonably good at this. I suppose if you put it under a microscope or something, you'd find that I was rocking a little bit, I guess. I don't know. But it's pretty much flat. Quotation flat, unquote. No, but it's scratched. This 400 one is sharp. And I don't know if you can see it where you are. It's really too far away, but there are scratch marks. We've shaped the metal to the shape we want, but now it has to be polished sharp. The next stone is a 1000. I think a 12 would do okay as well. Not really quite sure. Again, none of this is set in stone. It's all just, none of this is set in stone. It's all just about, works well. These blades are so small that you can really get away with murder on this kind of stuff. And the key point though is flat, flat, flat. Still visible striations. The thing about sharpening though too, there's sort of sometimes there's too much. The other day on Reddit, there's the Artisan Videos page, which I have a feed for. New stuff drops in. Sometimes my videos get posted there. And the other day on Artisan Videos, there was a guy sharpening. He was sharpening plane blades. And I don't remember the numbers that were involved. And the sharpening with like a 16,000 stone. Was that the number? If any of you guys saw that? I don't know. And I guess in the comment section in the Reddit page that was commenting about that video, there were people who were like, "This is overkill. Nobody needs 16,000 and all that stuff and whatever." And I can't speak at all for that craftsman. If he can feel the difference, then that's fine. Go for it. But for me, to sharpen at that level is really a little bit pointless, because you could get a knife sharpened to whatever 16,000 grit and perfectly formed and everything else, but this is very hard steel. The only way you can get a blade that sharp is if the steel is very, very hard, high carbon content, and that makes it extremely brittle. So with the blade sharpened too sharp for me, I'm going to put it in the wood, move it forward through the wood, and the tip of that blade, if you could see the microscopic level, would just be getting crunched and crunched and crunched by the wood. Too sharp, it doesn't matter, because it's going to get destroyed by the wood within seconds of going into the wood. With a plane that he was using, maybe it's different. If he sets his plane so finely to shave off just a microscopically thin layer of wood, then maybe being sharpened that delicately does make sense. But for me it doesn't. To sharpen this too fine, the instant we touch the wood, it's just going to crumble. I need a balance between physical strength on this blade, which means bulk, metal, and having a sharp edge. And the system we've got here in place, with about an 400 stone for shaping, 1,000 stone here for basically getting the visible scratches out. Although, of course, if we saw this at a hugely microscopic level, this would be just gouges and canyons and... And I could stop right there and put this in the wood, and it would be 95% okay. You don't really need to go this last step. The blade, the metal is now shaped at the proper angles and tones and textures for cutting wood. I could just get going right now, and it wouldn't really make any difference. This is heresy. This is going to be recorded by the internet. But of course we do. We put the final polish on it. And this makes it look nicer, it makes it look polished, and I'm sure if we microscopically looked at it, the gouges and chunks at the edge of the blade would be much reduced and it would be much smoother. But again, the first cut in the wood takes you past that anyway. For people that are maybe cutting something that doesn't have much resistance, maybe a barber or something, he's cutting like hair or something like this, and the hair doesn't offer too much resistance, I'm guessing. So for someone like that, who is cutting something very delicate, and whose blade is physically much stronger than the thing you're cutting, then it might be a really, really advantage to going to 16,000 grit or something, and having the edge of that blade totally microscopically smooth. But for someone like us, we're cutting something almost as hard as the blade itself. And there's no way, if we sharpen it just too delicate and just too fine, it's pointless, because the first cut in the wood is causing havoc at the edge of that blade. So sharp enough is okay. And then there's little tricks, just like what we're doing right now. I'm putting a second bevel. We've got the first bevel on the front of the blade, and the last step is, we've done this before, I put the second bevel at the back of the blade. And that removes steel. It takes away the absolute sharpest edge. It dulls the edge. And it makes less damage when I first now start cutting. Let me zoom in and see if I can show you what I just did. Where am I? What do I know about shaving? Nothing, absolutely nothing. What do I know about shaving? Yeah, nothing. Okay, let's zoom in here. One day I'll get that right the first time, one day. Where am I going to target zones? Where? Here. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, there's the front angle of the blade. Try to get it angle here. Just let me play around just to get the angle. Here we go. Okay, sharp, clean and polished. Okay. And the back side, what I just did, I lifted. I had it on the stone, and I went flat to polish the back of the blade, and then at the very end, I lifted it up this way, so that the edge itself was running on the stone. I made two very light passes. One, lifted up, two. And what that did, that put a bevel. Let me try and find it. Let's take time to do this. There's the flat, there's the hollow ground. You can see that, the shiny part. That's the hollow ground at the back of the blade. Then there's the flat back of the blade, almost flat. And then at the tip now, can you see? Let me get the angle right. Just a minute, let me find it. It's there somewhere. There it is. See it? See it there? Back and forth, that light shining as I move the blade. There's a bevel on the back of this. That was formed by that last two strokes on the back of the blade on the stone. And that took away metal. It took away the actual edge of the blade, which I don't need because it will be destroyed by the first cut of this thing. So by cutting that thing back, it gives me a few more minutes of good, strong, smooth steel cutting here. This is hard stuff. Following this or talking about something else? Yeah, no, the problem, John, with the zoom control is I'm looking at it backwards. I'm standing in front of the camera, reaching up to do it. It's built for people that are standing behind it. And sometimes I stand behind it, sometimes I stand in front of it. So I'm not blaming those guys. This is me. After all these years now, I think I should be able to remember. Reach up, push. Kai-san, good morning. Kai-san's on. We must be 9:18. Look at that, we're almost there. So it looks like we're almost out of time. 9:18. Okay. Yeah, an RC drone. So where am I looking from? Okay. All right, there's not much time now. We're almost out. Let me just cut that little handle on this box, on this bucket. I still got mud on this blade here. I didn't clean it. Kawai-san, good morning. Hello, hello. Come and say hello here.
Hello, hi, good morning.
Kawai-san's been double shifting. Eh? He's been doing shop work, parties, and also yesterday you were upstairs printing the show. So. Shh! My God, what have you done? Oh my God! I can tell you, this is a joke. He's been doing an outside job that came in. You know, for the past couple of months, he's been doing that Hasui job. The old Hasui blocks were found in America. So this job he's doing for an outside publisher. We've sort of rented him out to do this. This week also, he's doing another job. I should be nuts for allowing this to happen. He's been doing another job for an outside publisher. And they brought a set of blocks, and it was made with plastic blocks. You know, the kind of stuff that we use, those plastic blocks we used to put our name on the prints. They've made a block for this, for doing the actual pattern on the print. And when we saw this, we're like, oh my God, why did we say yes to this job? Why did we agree to this? Shogunai, there we are, it's stuck. We couldn't go back on this. So he and Rachan upstairs, they're struggling with different ways to try and improve the way of printing this. Because with plastic blocks, when you try and like rub your brush over the block, just whatever. Anyway, he and Rachan mostly kind of figured out a different way to do this. And they're rolling on some ink, but not oil ink. They're rolling on a water-based paint, but they figured out a way to do it. But it's supposed to be top secret. Good morning, hello. Hi. Yeah, how do you use blocks that don't absorb water? Well, you can't, but in struggling here, they figured out a way to do it. Actually, it's no top secret. What Lei-chan, the young girl Lei-chan, the one who came to us from Hong Kong, she's been, she first learned about printmaking in an actual, some print studio or something down in Hong Kong, where they were doing all kinds of stuff, etching and all different kinds of stuff. So she cut her teeth, not on woodblock printmaking, but on mezzotint etching, all that kind of stuff. So she has a background using all different kinds of stuff, rollers and pigments and whatever. And when she saw the problem that Kawai-san was having last week, she said, why don't you try this stuff? And she had one home, she brought it in. And it's etching ink, aqua. You guys know more about this than I do. It was a regular brand name, some kind of etching ink, but it was aqua something. In other words, some kind of water-based etching ink, and it said, cleans up with soap and water. It turned out that Kawai-san tried this with a roller on this block, and the stuff sat on top of the block, and when you printed it, look at that, it looks like a real woodblock print. So he's just using that to try and get through this job and get it out the door and keep the people happy. So. But we're going to keep that in mind. Maybe at some point, like we're doing this, I'm carving this boxwood, which is really hard, and I'm going to be able to print this with our normal water-based inks. But it could be some places like this. Look at this. There's a wide area here, or maybe some of the hair, that will be difficult to print because water doesn't go inside it. So maybe we'll be experimenting with Lei-chan's system here. Who knows? I was crazy to allow, people ask me, if we're such a printer shortage, why am I allowing our printers to work for outside people? And it's not what I wanted to do at all, but part of the thing here, remember, these people are not my people. I don't own Kawai-san. And also experience. Some of these jobs that come from outside people are really, really good experience for them. He has learned a huge amount by doing that Hasui job. And they paid well, so whatever, go for it. This thing is sharp for a while. But I'm sure if we had an actual microscope, a real super microscope, if we saw the edge of this now, we would see the difference in the place. There's two areas here now, eh? I sharpened the whole thing, but the first millimeter or so has now been sliced into the wood, and the back 3 or 4 millimeters have not been sliced into the wood. And I'm sure if you compare it under the microscope, this would be clean, 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 and this would now start to show breaks and ridges. My God, it's nice and sharp. Okay, there we go. That's about it for today. As you can see, this block, the way I'm going now, I'm talking so much and fooling around, it's going to be quite a while before I get through this block. So this will be our theme for the next few streams, clearly. Carving on this print. For those who don't know what it is, this is the key block for the 9th print in my own Arts of Japan series, which I'm struggling to get back to life after a 5-year break. And we'll take it as it comes. We'll carve the key block first, move on to color blocks. This is totally 100% traditional Japanese work, done in the traditional way. And so far, so good. Look at that. Those ropes, they actually look like real ropes. Good. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. We have a full day of work here in the shop. There's 3 staff members, not too many print parties. We have a ton of conferencing and things to get done and planning, flea market packing, lots of things to do. You need more printmakers. I'm determined to get good at it. Okay, show me the work. Show me the work. Okay, guys, we are out of here now. Thank you very much. I've had a good day at this. I'll see you again tomorrow. And at lunchtime, I'm really going to enjoy seeing what this chat was all about because I missed 99% of it here. Thanks again. Bye-bye. See you again tomorrow. Step 1. Step 2. The theme of this print, the series is the Arts of Japan. And the theme of this one, I'm stretching things a bit, The theme is going to be one of the famous arts of Japan, calligraphy. But we're really not seeing calligraphy. Like I said, I'm stretching the theme. I just really want an interesting print. It's a piece of a larger print where there are women doing things related to calligraphy. And in one corner of it, these 2 kids have been given the job of scrubbing clean the inkstone. So there's no calligraphy visible here, but I don't care. It's a fun image that nobody would ever have seen before. And we're going to carve it and cut it and bring it to life again. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye. See you next time. Stream button off.